What is going on, all you Pokemon collecting maniacs out there? This is Ryan, the Pika Pika Papa, and today we're going to be talking about some Scarlet and Violet cards that I think have some room to run here in the near future. Now, just believing in a card is one thing, but having a little bit of data to back it up is another. So that's what we do on this channel. Matter of fact, we have been doing it for quite a while. So if you remember the video that we did last Friday, in last Friday's video, we looked at how Sword and Shield top 20 singles cards and booster box prices had been moving month over month. However, that doesn't tell us a whole lot, but what does give us insight is the fact that we have been doing that for the last 2 years. And what we have noticed is that these markets are very cyclical. There are chunks when prices are going down, followed by chunks where prices are going up. And really in August, we started to see things materialize, which made us feel like the market start turn in a positive direction come September. Now, you're watching this, all of us know that is exactly what has happened. However, Scarlet and Violet has been following the exact same path as Sword and Shield. And as you saw in Wednesday's video, there's been a lot of positive movement in the Scarlet and Violet space as well. Now, if you look at what I have before you right here, these are the two different charts that are showing you how those top 20 singles cards from every set that has a booster box in Sword and Shield and every single set in Scarlet and Violet have been moving as of late. So the right is Sword and Shield from July of 2024 all the way to September of 2025. And on the left is April of 2025, all the way through September of 2025 for Scarlet and Violet. Obviously, the Scarlet and Violet generation is much newer. And since some of the sets are brand new, that is only Scarlet and Violet base set through Journey Together. As Destined Rivals and others start to get more time on them, I'll start incorporating them as well. But what that is all less important than what I want you to see is if you look from April, May, June, July, August, the price depreciation in Scarlet and Violet was following the same path as what was happening in Sword and Shield. It was all downward, all red numbers there. But what we see in September is both Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield had a significant spike in price. And again, we knew that was going to happen in August. We talked about how we've seen these patterns on the Sword and Shield graph to the right. You can see that July, August, September, October 2024, they were all negative. Then we went through a chunk where everything was positive, then a chunk where everything was negative. So we had a pretty good indication that was going to happen. Now, the point of this video is the fact that what we have seen is that a lot of these initial gains are coming from the big chase cards. Now, we've seen that again in the past. A lot of times the first segments of a era or generation to pop off are those big chase cards. Those are the big cards everybody knows. They carry the biggest price tags. A lot of times those pop off first. And then some of the middle tier, the really, really awesome cards, but maybe not the number 1 or number 2 card in the set. A lot of times those are a fast follow in terms of price appreciation. So to show you what I'm talking about, let's start looking at some of the big chase cards. And from the video that we looked at on Wednesday, right? These are the 3 big Charizards from Scarlet and Violet, and that is the price graph that we saw in August. And I won't talk a lot about this because we did that on Wednesday, but take a look at the change in graph from August to September. All 3 of them, significant upside, right? Then you look at these cards right here. You got the big card from Destined Rivals and Surging Sparks and Journey Together, right? They were all kind of forming these support lines in August. And then you see what happens in September. Bam, they all significantly spike up. So today we're going to be looking at some of the cards that I think might have the opportunity to increase in value right along the way. As I said, the big chase cards usually go first, and some of the middle tier cards usually fall second. Now, I got to give my warning. I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea what could possibly happen in the future, but this is just me trying to follow some of the same patterns we've seen in the past. And I do got to say this too, if you get into this video, if you're having fun, if you enjoy this type of data-driven content, we do fun stuff like this all the time. Obviously, we put a ton of work into the channel behind the scenes. So if you're into it, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. Those 2 small things go a really long way in helping my small channel out, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. So let's start talking about some of the cards that I am absolutely in love with in the Scarlet and Violet era right now. And the first one is a card that if you watch this channel at all, you know I am borderline obsessed with this Blastoise card. Matter of fact, I am borderline obsessed with all of 151. I think when we were going through that period, which you saw on the very first slide that we saw, where we were going through this period where all of Scarlet and Violet was coming down, 151 was depreciating in price right along with it. And it makes no sense. It is a perfect example of a fantastic set with amazing cards for no logical reason getting pulled down with the rest of the market in terms of pricing. So The thing I really like about this Blastoise card, and what I think you will notice in a lot of the cards that I highlight here, is even though the market had a pretty big spike month over month, this one over the last 6 months is only up 2.86%. So again, you are essentially having the opportunity to buy this card right now at the exact same price that you would have 6 months ago. And when I talk about 151, I am a firm believer, who knows if it's going to come true or not, but I'm a firm believer that there are going to be multiple cards in this set over the $100 price point. And if that comes to pass, the Blastoise is obviously going to be one of them. And if I'm being completely honest, if I think when we get 3 years further from now, 5 years further from now, there's going to be multiple cards over the $200 or even the $300 price point, like 151 is a set for the ages. It is absolutely lights out, incredible, some amazing Pokemon in there. And it also has a really, really low gem rate. So for all of those reasons, the fact that you can buy this essentially where it was 6 months ago, the fact that the broader market is starting to turn very positive, both in Sword and Shield and Scarlet and Violet, for all those reasons, I think this card has a lot of legs here in the future. Now, the next card that we're going to talk about right here, this is the Eevee from Twilight Masquerade, and you all might not remember this, but this was a $100 card at one point, and we sat here on this channel and we said, listen, in the long run, we think this card's going to be really cool, but when it hit $100, we're like, it's too much, too soon, doesn't make a ton of sense to me. However, now that you can get it at the $63 price point, now that we're beyond the Scarlet and Violet, now that we're into the Mega Evolution series, right? Now that you're buying this at an 11% discount versus where it was 6 months ago, obviously Twilight Masquerade has solidified itself as one of the top sets in the entire Scarlet and Violet generation. Just all of these intangibles are adding up for me to believe that this card is going to be very, very special. And, one of the things that makes Twilight Masquerade so great is that it has some amazing trainer cards, but a lot of times the trainer cards, for whatever reason, they're hot in the beginning, even for the first year or so, they just can't always hold those number 2, number 3, number 4 type positions. And so I wouldn't be surprised if in the long run we start to see this Eevee kind of creep its way up that top 10 card ladder, maybe work its way into the top 3 most expensive cards from Twilight Masquerade. We'll just have to see. I know those trainer cards are really, really awesome. So again, I wouldn't be surprised one way or another, but you got the big name in Eevee. You have incredible artwork on this one from a huge set like Twilight Masquerade. You're buying it at a discount to where it was 6 months ago. It's hard to go wrong with this card, and it's one of the ones that I finally am putting on the list of things I have my eye on. Next card we're talking about right here. So I've been a huge fan of this card for quite a while. This thing came out in an absolutely cratered. The fact that you can get it now at $29, this Latios card, I know it's just an illustration rare, but the fact that it has a sister card as a special illustration rare in that Latios card, you know what I mean? The fact it's 14% down versus where it was, 6 months ago. And if you remember when I showed you the video that I did specifically talking about Scarlet and Violet month over month, Surging Sparks is not performing well compared to a lot of its peers. Surging Spark seems like a set that for whatever reason right now, it's just not seeing that positive momentum outside of that big Pikachu card. But for somebody like me, I don't view that as a bad thing. I know Surging Sparks is a great set. It has amazing Pokemon in it. It's got fantastic artwork. And so everything that I love about hunting for value is coming true in the Surging Sparks set. Like great cards, great characters. And for whatever reason, it's kind of being overlooked right now. I have no question in my mind that in the long run, Surging Sparks is again going to be one of the better sets in the Scarlet and Violet era. So when I see awesome cards like this at a pretty good discount, I think it's a fantastic opportunity to jump in. So that's why this card made the list. I'm super pumped. I've been a fan of this ever since Surging Sparks came out, matter of fact. So big fan of this, and I think this card's got some room to run as well. Next one, another card that I've talked about a whole lot. So Journey Together came out and it didn't hit the fanfare that everybody thought it was, or at least some people thought it was going to hit. But then again, it came out kind of right in the middle of when the market started to take that aggressive downturn. We've seen that for the last really 5.5 months, the Scarlet and Violet market has been turning negative, and Journey Together came out about 6 months ago. So traditionally, you have the Pokemon pop and flop. Even in a normal market, Pokemon cards come out, they start off really high as more packs are ripped and they hit the secondary market, prices drop. So you have the normal price movement of that Pokemon pop and flop. And then you couple that with the fact that the overall broader market was coming down right as this set came out. And I do think that this card was oversold. Now, $150 is nothing to shake a fist at, but if you look at some of the awesome Lily cards throughout the history of Pokemon, they have a track record of doing really, really well. Plus, you pair her with Clefairy right here with really adorable artwork. I picked this card up for $150. I don't know, it was a little while ago, and I'm very very, very happy with that. I think it's going to be a fantastic buy. I think in the long run, it's going to do really well. I actually think Journey Together is going to do okay in the grand scheme of things. And the fact that this one is way down, 36% down versus where it was 6 months ago. Again, man, I just see it forming that support line. It's starting to creep up. We know that the broader Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield markets are all turning positive. I mean, if you've been in the market for this, could be a really interesting time to take a hard look at one if you can find a real mint copy out there. Next thing that we're talking about, this is the opposite of a lot of the cards that I have talked about, because this one is up. It's up 24.5% versus where it was 6 months ago, but I don't care. So I love Paldea Evolved. Do you know what the #1 set is right now in terms of booster box pricing in the Scarlet and Violet era? It's Paldea Evolved. Those booster boxes are going for over $400 right now. It's going for more than Destined Rivals. Now, obviously, it's because it's out of stock and it's so old. You know, the odds of seeing a reprint are almost eliminated. There's going to be a lot more Destined Rivals in the future. So I have no doubt Destined Rivals is going to overtake this. But I am saying that just to frame it up, that when you think about how expensive the booster boxes are, obviously people love the set. The gem rate of this set is abysmally low. I think the only thing with a lower gem rate than this is Obsidian Flames. Actually, and I think Prismatic Evolutions has a lower gem rate too. But still, think about all the sets in the Scarlet and Violet generation. This one is #3 in terms of the worst gem rate. And then you have a name like Tyranitar. Just look at the most expensive Tyranitar cards from the history of Pokemon. There are a ton out there with really big price points associated with them. And again, kind of like the analogy I made with 151, right now, there's only one high-priced card over $100 in Paldea Evolved, and that's the Magikarp. There will be more. Matter of fact, this Tyranitar comes in at #3. The Raichu card is actually the #2 most expensive. I fully believe this is going to take over the #2 spot, and I think at some point this is going to be a $100 card in the future. I am a big, big believer in this for all of the reasons that I just stated, and even though it's up 24%, it's a card that I am pumped to add to the collection. I already have a couple of them, but I think I might add a couple more. Big, big fan of this card. Next one that we're talking about. So going from Paldea Evolved to Paldean Fates, you know, these cards, I don't know, it's a bit of a flyer. The thing that I like about Paldean Fates right now is just how hot the set is as a whole. You have two cards that are going to command huge premiums to them. Obviously, the Bubble Mew, and then you got the Charizard, which is now charging hard up the price points. And we have seen specialty sets as a whole just organically over time do really well. And then when you can put in an awesome character like Charmander right here, this baby shiny, it's at 19% down where it was 6 months ago, coming in at $21. This might be a little bit more of a longer pull. This might not be something that spikes off overnight, but I do believe that this card and the one we're going to talk about on the next page have the opportunity to do really well, just because I think Paldean Fates as a whole is going to get pulled up by those two chase cards. I think it's a set that hit harder than people anticipated out the gate. I think people thought it would be okay. You know, it had a Charizard at the very top, but I don't think anybody really expected the Bubble Mew to do what it has been doing as of late. And again, we can see that how a couple really big cards can just pull the rest of them up. And again, you're talking about a Charmander here, one of the most popular Pokemon on the face of the planet. So you can do far worse than picking up this at $20. Now, same thing for the Pikachu. I'm a huge Pikachu fan, so sometimes I gotta try and take my fanboy glasses off. But no matter what, I've already talked about why I'm such a big believer in Paldean Fates, and I already can tell you why. Pikachu is obviously one of the most popular Pokemon out there. And for everything that I just said, it's down 19% versus where it was before. You know, it was all the way up at the $45, $46 mark. Like, this card's going to hit an all-time high again at some point. Don't know when it's going to happen. I do think the baby shinies, like I said earlier, might be a little bit of a longer pull than some of these other cards, but I do think in the long run, there's going to be some awesome value unlocked in both of these cards. Next one, and this is going to be a surprising one, and this is the final one on the list. I know Twilight Masquerade gets all of the love for having fantastic trainers, and I have been not anti-trainer, but I have not been putting trainer cards into my collection with the anticipation of them appreciating in value much over time, but I am making an exception for this Iono card. Again, it comes from Paldea Evolved, which is one of the hottest sets there is out there. I think the artwork is really unique. You obviously got Pikachu on a pancake. You got Eevee chilling down there. Like, the artwork on this is a very, very popular trainer. It is flatlined at $50. If you remember, this card was wildly expensive when it first came out. I mean, it forced a reprint over in Japan far earlier than anyone anticipated because people were going nuts over this card. It was selling for a ridiculous amount of money. I do think it's finally starting to settle down a little bit. I think it's starting to find, you know, a bit of an approachable price point. And again, just like with the previous two cards, not every card we talk about on this channel is going to pop off overnight, nor should that be the exception or the expectation for anything in the Pokemon space. But right now in the world we live in, unfortunately, if cards aren't delivering like a 30% return month over month, a lot of people feel depressed, but that's not where I live in. My goal is to buy quality cards with awesome artwork from big sets that I think in the long run are going to give us solid returns. When I put all those parameters together, this card checks every single one of them. So I'm excited to finish this video with it. I think it's a really cool opportunity, and if nothing else, like I said, the artwork is absolutely insane. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this rundown. If people like the version that I did this exact same thing for Sword and Shield earlier in the week. I looked at the cards that were up, and I did a video on the ones that were in the middle that I thought had opportunity. If that video and if this video shows some love, then maybe every month we'll do it, because like I said, every month we do how these eras perform month over month. So maybe we'll start identifying some cards that didn't see price spikes but might in the future. You guys are the key. You guys are the key holders. So whatever you want, that's what we try and do on this channel. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you had fun. And if you did, hit that subscribe button or give us a thumbs up. But most off, have an epic rest of your day. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you soon. See ya. Bye.